Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Bill DeMain is a man of many talents. We're going to have him stand on his head here in the studio today. No, he's a Grammy-nominated music journalist, a musician as well, an author, a songwriter, a tour guide, and most recently a cartoonist. So, of course, that's where we're going to start our episode with Bill DeMain. Bill, welcome to This Is Nashville.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I was looking at your Instagram where you publish your cartoons, which also get published elsewhere. But one is this silly putty container. It's, one of those old school, like red egg looking things. I guess I'm assuming everybody knows what silly putty is, but it's cracked open and the putty is more like a puddle. And it says somber putty. And you write, my kind of silly putty. Is this your kind of cartoon? What makes something a Bill DeMain cartoon? Have you put your finger on it yet?
I like that one because first, silly putty was a favorite of mine when I was a little kid. And second, I feel like I've always had a sort of melancholy disposition. So that one was very autobiographical in a way.
I love that. Well, so how did you start cartooning? Because it's like just in the last couple of years, right?
It is. During the pandemic, I started doing some collage art and some drawing as a way to illustrate a book of children's poems that I had written called Odd Birds. And that led to me making a line of greeting cards. And I started to gain a little bit more confidence in my abilities to do graphic art. And then that just kind of naturally led to cartoons. I've always loved, whether it's Peanuts or Dennis the Menace or, The New Yorker, of course, all those beautiful cartoons. So I thought, well, maybe I could mix my sense of humor with my drawing. And I just kind of became obsessed with it.
Really?
Yeah.
So are you sort of just writing them uncommissioned and just to see what sticks with yourself and then you pitch them to places?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's sort of my philosophy in general of anything that I create. Like, I try to make something that I like. So if nobody else likes it, at least I won't feel bad like I tried to pander.
I guess that's a real artist there, you might argue.
So, yeah, I mean, I draw them all the time. And then I have, a list of 15 magazines that publish cartoons. And they have their own protocol, each one, whether you pitch online or you put them in a PDF or whatever. And I'm pretty regular about pitching, and I've been doing that for about 2.5 years. And I'd say in that time I've sold about 20 cartoons.
Yeah. What are you most proud of?
There's a magazine out of San Francisco called Alta Journal, which is kind of almost like a West Coast New Yorker. It's really competitive. In fact, most of the cartoonists are New Yorker cartoonists.
Oh, really?
And last year I did one for them that they not only published but picked as one of their top 3 cartoons of the year. And that was sort of like my moment. I was like, oh my God, everything's downhill from now.
Wow. Well, all right. So at the risk of having, it's almost like explaining a joke, but what is the cartoon?
The cartoon is set in the desert, and there are 2 vultures waiting to get into a restaurant, and there's a host. And in the background, you see a sort of emaciated guy crawling in the sand. And the host says to the 2 vultures, it'll be about a 30-minute wait.
I think I need to see it so I completely get it.
Yeah.
But, well, see, there is a risk in explaining a joke on the air. So where is it that these jokes... Do these combine things of yours that are already passions, like the drawing and the one-liner,
I think so. I mean, another thing, too, when I was a little kid, I loved Mad Magazine. I loved Don Martin and Dave Berg. So I had all those books. So I think even though I never really thought about cartooning until I got much older, it was in me, that enthusiasm for it. And then I love comedy, I mean, I secretly wish I could be a stand-up comedian,
Well, listen, there's always time.
I guess there's always time.
It seems you are trying to defy expectations, starting new things, new careers almost. I'm not going to call you later on in life, but, beyond the midpoint.
It's okay.
Beyond the midpoint. Yeah. So is this something you learn how to do? Like, did you watch tutorials on YouTube or something, or just kind of go with your gut? How did you hone the craft?
I learned, and I am learning about cartooning kind of the same way I learned about songwriting and prose writing. I absorbed a lot, and I also copied things that I liked to try to learn how they worked. So, for instance, I might have taken a cartoon by Charles Addams and tried to draw it as best I could to understand not only the form, like how do you draw a hand, but how the shading is done. And 2.5 years into it, I'm also now studying. Once a month, I take a Zoom class with an illustrator.
Really?
Yeah.
On Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so what you do these one panel? Is that the term? A one panel,
single panel,
kind of like
gag
Far
cartoons.
Side or something, right?
Yeah.
So many of them. I mean, I'm just thinking of one panel cartoons because often the art is even very simple. I mean, lines. Yours and others. What do readers maybe miss in some of that simplicity? Maybe the complexity of actually putting something like that together that works.
The more that I do it and the more I learn about it, the more I realize how subtle things are, like placement of people within a space, expressions on faces. That is something I think that can make or break a cartoon, and sometimes the understated expression is funnier than something that's, really over the top. But also, I think the thing that I haven't quite arrived at yet is a really identifiable style in the way that, if you look at someone like Roz Chast, who's a great New Yorker cartoonist, you look at her work and it's like, oh, that's Roz Chast. You just know it's her,
What does one have to do to develop a style? Because I guess that's the secret, isn't it? I mean, if you said, "What's your style of songwriting? How did you develop it?" You're like, well, that's kind of what I've been doing for my whole life. How do you develop a style?
You have to do it a lot.
Yeah.
And I think as you do it a lot, you gain more confidence in your own voice, and you start to shed some of your influences.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, do you ever? I don't know what your humor is like. You said you sort of somber and maybe melancholy, but like, do you ever create one and think this cannot be put out into the world because?
Yeah, there've been a couple that were pretty dark. There was an open call for cartoons. I don't think the book has come out, but for cartoons that was going to be all anti-Trump stuff. And I submitted 10 cartoons, and I don't really like to draw him, and I don't really like to draw political cartoons much, but I thought the book sounded like, it was going to be a high-profile thing. So I drew 10, and there were a couple in there that maybe I wouldn't like to describe that were really dark.
Well, then we shall not. You're so prolific in all that you do. I don't know if you feel prolific, but when you start kind of like listing things out, the different, books, articles, different outlets you've worked with, working as almost a correspondent for the BBC with music, a walking tour. But anyway, you just have done so much. But so much of it involves using your hands, your arm, wrist. I know you've had a bicycling accident recently. Is this slowing you down?
It has. 3 weeks ago, I had a bike accident and I fractured my right wrist, which is my dominant hand.
I mean, that's guitar strumming. That's writing.
I shifted with guitar. I just kept practicing with my left hand to keep my fingers
Really?
nimble.
You practiced without really using your right arm at all?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I play piano, and I've been practicing with my left hand.
Which probably needed some work anyway, right?
Yeah. I haven't been able to draw until this week. I just did my first cartoon in 3 weeks yesterday. So yeah, it put a crimp in my lifestyle for sure.
All right. So you said next thing you're going to tackle is stand-up comedy.
Nah, I don't think that I have the right personality to do it. I would like to write jokes for somebody else and let them do it. Put it that way.
I like the sound of it. Our guest today is musician Bill DeMain, an upstart cartoonist, also a Nashville walking tour guide, but mostly he is a musician, which is what we're going to get to next when we come back. This is Nashville.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. If you listen to the first segment of this show, you'd think that our guest is a cartoonist, and he is. But our guest this hour is one half of the band Swan Dive, though we haven't played a single second of that music yet because we've been talking about cartooning with Bill DeMain. So here is a song that he actually doesn't really want us to play because it's not his favorite, but it was a hit in Japan, and so we've got to listen to this song. Went to number 5 on the charts in Japan, Groovy Tuesday.
Like it's 1969. Oh yeah. Gives me peace and love, makes me feel so fine. She's got some
That's Bill DeMain, one half of Swan Dive. They're singing. Oh, all right, what's the story about this song, Groovy Tuesday, becoming a hit in Japan?
Well, we made a record here in Nashville in 1997 with a producer named Brad Jones. At the same time, Brad was playing bass with Matthew Sweet, and Matthew went on tour in Japan.
Okay.
And Brad brought a copy of our record, handed it out to some journalists. Next thing we know, we're getting calls from record labels in Japan. When it first happened, I thought somebody's playing a joke on us.
Right, 97, it's not like you can Google everything.
No.
At all.
And Sony Records said, "We love you guys. We want to sign you." And I just thought, we could have tried our hardest to get signed and never gotten signed. And then Brad hands out a record. It falls into the right hands. And next thing we know, we're in Japan.
Hilarious. All right, so I said we were gonna play that song. You're like, oh, that song. Do you really dislike the song, or is it just like if there was a song that was going to go big on the charts, it's just not the one you would have chosen?
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the song. It's a little lightweight.
I see.
I
see. You want something with depth.
Yeah, and we did have. I mean, the other songs had depth, but I understand they just really responded to how sunny and happy it was.
It's a bop.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely. So you will, first of all, we need some background on Swan Dive. So this was in, I think, the mid-'90s when you and Molly Felder got together. What was the original vision for Swan Dive when you guys started out?
I mean, she and I had been singing together in another band called Wild About Harry, and that broke up, and then we started Swan Dive. We both loved Burt Bacharach and Bossa Nova and the Beatles and Jobim. So I think she has such a beautiful voice that I felt lucky to have somebody to sing my songs that was that gifted. And we just get along great. And, I've been in a lot of bands where, there's a lot of infighting and it's not fun. But she and I just always have a good time. And we're going back to Tokyo in a month to play. We haven't been there in 20 years.
No way.
Yeah.
You're going back to Tokyo because there's still a Swan Dive audience there?
We'll find out. No, we're going to see old friends.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
while we were there, we thought, I wonder if we could get a gig. And somebody said, yeah, we'd love to have you. So we're playing one club show.
And so now you have to bring instruments for one club, or do you just get something
they'll provide
there?
them.
They'll
for us.
provide it. Well,
Yeah.
that'll work. So what was it like that first time? And I guess it was 97, 98 to play in Japan. I mean, was it kind of big time?
It was. I mean, it was. We were both in our early 30s, and it was the closest thing I would imagine I'll ever get to experience to Hard Day's Night, where there were screaming fans. There were people
Oh my gosh.
waiting in the hotels for autographs. When we went to Tower Records, they had cardboard cutout figures of us, like next to our. It was crazy, like a parallel universe we'd stepped into.
People do not often get to experience that. So thank goodness you didn't have to live that life. Am I right?
Well, I have to say it was not. It was like I always compared it to Indiana Jones. We got to go over there and have adventures, and then come back and just like lead a normal life.
Right. I love that. Well, so did Swan Dive, evolve from there? What was this kind of like your primary, effort during those years?
We've made 10 albums.
Wow.
Since that first one in 1997, and from Japan we got signed in Thailand. Then we got signed in South Korea.
Really? So Asia?
Yeah.
Was there any reason for that? Because I know MTV Asia was a thing back then. Or what was spreading Swan Dive?
This is strange to say, but unbeknownst to us, the biggest selling act through most of Asia is the Carpenters. So when they saw a boy and a girl, and the girl has a melancholy, pretty voice and plays the drums, as Molly does, we started getting compared to the Carpenters, even though we don't sound that much like them. And we were like, we love the Carpenters. We'll take it.
Oh, my goodness, the Carpenters. Well, so again, not a thing could have possibly worked had you hatched the plan.
Never.
But here it is, the Carpenter 2.0 band touring around Asia. Did you all tour elsewhere in Asia?
We did. I mean, we've played in Bangkok. We played in Seoul. One time we played at a seaside town in Thailand, and I can't remember the name of it, but we played in front, this sounds crazy, but we played in front of 90,000 people. We weren't the headliners. We were a part of a festival, but there were 90,000 people there.
Wow.
I know.
Well, I'm sure just sort of relaying a story like that, you're even like, listen, I have to check myself. Is that even true? Is that what happened? Yes, that did. That's real.
I haven't said it out loud in a while. I was checking myself.
Right. Well, so all along the way, you've also been a journalist, a writer about music. Was that pre-Swan Dive, post-Swan Dive? I mean, I guess Swan Dive still is around. So how did that interact with your own musical career?
It was pre-Swan Dive. I think I got my first music article published in 1992. I've been doing it ever since. And it's interacted with my songwriting life and my Swan Dive life in really good ways because, getting to sit down with David Bowie or Kate Bush or, all my favorite songwriters, Neil Finn from Crowded House, I always learn things about how they do it that I can apply to my own creative life.
That sounds like cheating. I don't think you could do that.
It does sound like cheating.
Right. Also, I don't know if you've heard this song. It's by a young upstart. What was really your passion? Was this kind of the paying the bills and the music is the passion, or did one become something you didn't expect?
I think I still think of myself first and foremost as a songwriter, but I enjoy all the other stuff. So I never in my mind rank the things like, journalism is third.
Right.
I just like doing them all.
Yeah. Well, you write so much. When did you realize that you have an affinity for writing, whether that's a song or a poem or a book?
this sounds crazy, but in 8th grade, my English teacher, Mrs. Blend.
It doesn't sound crazy because my 8th grade teacher, English teacher, I can still sing the preposition song because of her. You know, it's
Right.
so 8th grade teacher, Miss Blend.
Yes, Mrs. Blend.
And this was in New Jersey, where
In
you
New
grew up?
Jersey, in Mendham, New Jersey. I wrote some poems, and she was so enthusiastic and encouraging. She wrote on one of the poems, "I think you have a great future as a writer," which when you're 12 years old and you see that, I mean, it affected me profoundly. I still get a little choked up thinking about it, you know. And she's no longer with us. I tried to track her down later to thank her again. You know, it's like, you probably just said that in passing, but little did you know, you know.
Wow, because you really didn't have that. It's not like your parents were saying, "Oh, you've got a real knack for this."
Not really. I mean, my parents weren't discouraging, but I don't think they recognized that that's what I'd want to do, you know.
Well, the life of an artist, you know.
Yeah.
Not something every parent is encouraging necessarily. If you're just tuning in, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. Our guest this hour is Bill DeMain, a man of many talents. We're talking about his musical singing, his songwriting, and his music journalism. You know, one of your partners in songwriting was Jill Sobule. Am I pronouncing her last name correctly?
It's Sobule.
Sobule.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But Jill Sobule, who passed away this year, but I know you all wrote together. Were you writing for Swan Dive or for others? What was that writing partnership?
Well, first and foremost, I was a fan of Jill's in the early 90s, and then I met her in the mid-90s, and we started...
Because she was a performer as well.
Yeah, an incredible performer. And we started writing songs together in the mid-90s. And Swan Dive ended up recording 10 of those songs, and Jill ended up recording 5 of those songs. So I think we were just writing songs the best we could, and if one of them suited us, we would end up recording it, one or the other.
And did those songs also go to other people besides, you know, somebody who was part of the creation of them?
No, I mean, I think the furthest out from us, 1 or 2 of them got into TV shows. I think one was in Private Practice. Another one was in Felicity a long time ago, yeah.
Well, so what was it about her music that drew you to her?
I think she came from a lot of the same influences that I did. She loved bossa nova and Todd Rundgren and jazzy stuff like Burt Bacharach. She was a great guitar player. She taught me a lot of chords that I didn't know, like jazzy chords. And she was also just fearless and really energetic and enthusiastic as a songwriter. So it was always fun to write with her. You know, we laughed a lot. We'd always be writing a sort of dirty version of the same song on the side as we wrote the song.
A dirty version.
Yeah, because, you know, we both just loved Workin' Blue, you know.
You're saying you'd have a love song and you'd have kind of the
raunchy version.
The raunchy version on the side. Not to be published, but to be laughed over.
Yes.
Well, one of the first songs you wrote with Jill was called One-Sided. And I believe Swan Dive recorded that one for one of your albums.
We did, yeah.
So yeah, you were kind of still in that fan mode when you wrote it with her. Let's take a quick listen.
One-sided, misguided. Every time I'm with you, I get reminded. So blinded, I've decided you're the only one that I could ever love. One-sided, I've tried it. For you, I'm just a parade and I can't hide it. Landslided, can't fight it. Just a little kindness and you've got me down again. Sneak around the back to see what you see. Try to understand why you don't want me. If there's anything that we both agree on, it's that love is one-sided, misguided.
swan dive, performing one of the songs that our guest this hour, Bill DeMain, wrote with singer-songwriter Jill Sobule. So, what do you remember most about writing? Like sort of this first experience writing with Jill.
Jill was very reactive. I remember where I was when we wrote that song. We were at Alex the Great Studio, and she was working on an album. She had a break.
Is that here in town?
Yeah.
Alex the Great Studio.
Yes.
I don't know of it.
It's in Berry Hill.
Okay.
And I walked in, and I think I at that moment I was in love with somebody who didn't love me back. And I was telling Jill about it, and I said, it just feels really one-sided. And she was holding a guitar, and she just started singing that opening line. And I grabbed my guitar, and we were just straight into it.
Almost like this was not a session or something. You just like, she's inspired. She took it. You built off that, and all of a sudden you've got.
Yeah. I mean, her antenna was always up, I think, for ideas.
Well, isn't that the sign of a real, what I consider a songwriter? I mean, like, even for this job, I write a lot. Not a songwriter. Like, I've never been inspired to write a song. It's not what's going to come out of me. I feel like I should make myself, but it's nothing I'm compelled to do. Yeah, what is that about that antenna? Is that something you see with great songwriters, that they're just always looking for material?
I think so. I mean, I think you have to be both eavesdropping and listening closely and searching your own heart and everything, just like have all channels open as much as you can.
All right, so she was this great songwriter, but not good about actually writing things down. It sounds like, right? I mean, so I think you wrote like 50 songs with her, but she never kept copies.
It's incredible. She was not only an artist, but a real gypsy, in the sense that she just moved from place to place, and she didn't take copies. She would just kind of rely on me, and I'm guessing a lot of her other co-writers, to be the librarian.
Really? Well, you'd almost think just so you make sure that, however you might end up making money on this song, you do, and it's sort of documented. No?
No. In fact, now her brother and one of her friends have been tasked with trying to track down all of these co-writes that she did, but never documented. So she just created not only her own body of work, but this whole other co-written body of work that hasn't really been properly documented or captured yet. But it looks like it's going to be eventually.
Really? Well, I don't even know how you'd go about tracking that down. What, that you heard that she might have written that with this person, so you just go start interviewing them almost?
It's some of that. It's some of her maybe telling her publishing company at the time, I wrote this song with David Berwald. It's called Ba Ba Ba, although there's no recorded version of it. So they would get in touch with David and say, like, hey, do you remember writing with Jill? You might maybe have a copy of that. And
what did that teach you about your own process?
Well, I've always been pretty good about documenting, and I wouldn't say I'm the opposite of Jill, but I'm a pretty steady and avid documentarian of things that I do and create.
What do you think that says about her, though? I like the word gypsy. I can just sort of picture it. And even that bossa nova feel kind of feels very like someone who might be travel on the wind or something. I mean, like what did that say about her as a person, a human?
I think it said that she liked to move forward, and that she was always looking at whatever the next song she was going to write was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, don't bother with the time that it would take to document these things. Well, how beautiful. Oh, I wonder what you've come to discover about your friend since her death.
Oh gosh. I mean, I think I'm thinking about writing a book about her, because when you lose somebody, whether in a relationship or to death, the tendency is they start shrinking. So I want to keep Jill alive as much as I can. The most beautiful thing that I've discovered since she's passed is because I've gone back and found all these work tapes of songs that we wrote over the years. And I was just amazed by her enthusiasm. Like you'd listen to the song the first time we played it through, like that one-sided that we listened to, and you can hear her go like, "All right, DeMain," and a high five. You hear the slap of the hand. I'm just thinking, who does that? You know, I mean, I have songwriter friends who are like, "Good one," but Jill was like, "You won a game show." You know, it was amazing.
Man. Well, this idea that the people we lose start to shrink over time. I mean, yeah, I can attest to that. And you kind of feel like in the moments, in the months afterward, like right now, you probably feel with Jill that could never happen, but you just know that it does.
Yeah, I mean, it was You know, she died in a house fire. It was shocking. It was just one of those things that you could never see coming.
I see. There was no sickness. There was no sickness. Wow. Wow.
Wasn't even her house, you know. Yeah.
Well, while we're sitting here in it, your bandmate Molly Felder lost her husband recently too, who was also a friend. I mean, it sounds like a tough year. No wonder you're dwelling on the loss.
Yeah, Mickey Grimm was his name, and he was our drummer on all the Swandav records. He was a fantastic musician. Played with Over the Rhine and Bone Pony. And, you know, he had been ill, but still his death was unexpected, and it really blindsided all of us, you know, especially Molly. So, yeah, this year has been hard.
Has that grief shown up in you have so many creative outlets. Does it show up?
It's funny that you say that. Not deliberately, but I realized over the last 5 or 6 months since Jill passed that I'd done several cartoons that were related to death. Not thinking like, oh, I'm honoring Jill. It was just on my mind, and I processed it. You know, a couple of seance cartoons and
seances.
Yeah.
Well, hey, do you find yourself? I mean, she seems like somebody who might have a seance, for crying out loud. Do you find yourself trying to commune with her in any way?
Not deliberately, but I did have an experience. I mean, I never believed in ghosts until I saw one some years ago. And then Molly and I have been recording a song called Jenny that Jill and I wrote. And we found a demo of Jill singing it. So we thought, let's have Jill's voice on our song too. So when I was recording with her and putting my voice with her, it was really emotional. And I put the headphones down for a second, and I distinctly heard Jill's voice come through the headphones saying like, "Okay." And it wasn't on the session. And I mean, all the hair on my arms and neck stood up. I went back and I thought, I didn't hear that, did I?
Well, you're saying this has happened since her death?
Yes. 2 weeks after she passed.
Well, we'll just let those hairs stand up on the back of our necks right now. We need to take one more break, and when we return, we'll get to that walking tour. Also meet an alter ego who's with us. We're with Bill DeMain for now. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Our guest this hour is Bill DeMain. But he also has an alter ego who is, like his alter ego, a prolific writer. Sterling Huck likes to write prank letters. You know, like, I don't know. We'll start with this. Why don't you answer as Bill DeMain? I suppose we got to talk about the alter ego. But how did NASA inspire Sterling Huck to start writing letters?
Well, first, prank letters were inspired by Don Novello, Father Guido Sarducci, who wrote a couple of books called the Laszlo Letters.
Okay.
So I had read those in college and loved them, and I thought I would try to carry on that tradition.
Okay. Well, I think you brought one of your favorites with us. Would you mind reading it?
Sure.
All right. So this is Sterling Huck, alter ego of our guest this hour. Go on.
This is to Burns Rodeo in Burns, Kansas. Dear Burns Rodeo, I am a rodeo clown who dresses like Johann Sebastian Bach. I wear a plush vermilion velvet coat, tied at the waist and flared at the hips, a frilly shirt with ruffled sleeves, and of course a magnificent powdered, high-pile wig tied in back with a catigan. To all appearances, I am J.S. Bach. The only difference is I do tricks with livestock, and I do it to an all-Bach soundtrack. Imagine me lassoing a maniac bull to the sounds of Minuet in G, or riding a bronc with the Brandenburg Concerto, providing a lively counterpoint. And then I'll tie up a hog to bourrée. I'd love to perform my show, Bach in the Saddle, at your rodeo. I'd only need airfare and modest lodgings. I'll find the horses and bulls once I'm there. After my performances, I sell souvenir teat rings. Please let me know as soon as possible about the arrangements for my Bach in the Saddle show at Burns Rodeo this summer. I'm ready to rope and ride.
Teat rings?
Teat rings.
What does this say about you that there's this alter ego writing these letters that are as kooky as that?
I don't.
It explains the cartoons, I'll say.
Yeah, I've never tried to psychoanalyze it more than it was just a way to make myself laugh, and that felt good. And also, it was an exercise in writing in that I tried to write letters that were preposterous yet somehow believable.
So did these letters actually go out?
Oh yeah, and
you sent them.
So Burns Rodeo wrote back to me like this.
You
book
wrote to Burns. This letter went to someone. And they responded.
Yes.
Saying what?
So basically, I mean, to paraphrase their response, it was, our season is all booked up this year, but we will keep you on file. Your act sounds very interesting. I mean, obviously it was brief, but there was no way they were going to consider me. They were being polite,
What an interesting character. Does Sterling Huck still write letters?
Yes, occasionally, but it's not a snail mail world anymore.
It's really not. And an email, this.
And also, once Sterling Huck, I did 2 books. Once they were online, you could Google that name and realize, oh, this is a jokester.
Google killed Sterling Huck.
Google killed Sterling Huck.
Well, that's a real shame. If you had to, though, who would a letter be going to? Who needs a letter from Sterling Huck?
Well, I have written a couple this year, maybe dangerously so, to members of the current administration, including Pete Hegseth, posing as the head of a dinner theater in Jolton, Tennessee, and inviting him to be the lead in a new production of Death of a Salesman.
So what do you said you like making yourself laugh, but I feel like what is it that makes you laugh? Is it the idea of somebody in Pete Hegseth's office opening this thing and appreciating it?
Yes,
because it's not about tricking them, I don't think, right?
No, I mean the letter was crazy because it said I knew that he had a theatrical background and he had done Macbeth and all this stuff, and obviously that's not true. But yes, the joy is picturing one of his underlings or secretaries opening it, in either laughing or maybe believing it, and thinking, how am I going to ask Secretary Hegseth about this, All
right. If anybody has heard about this letter and opened it, please get back to us. We want to hear what the reaction was. If you're just joining us, I'm Blake Farmer. This is Nashville. Our guest this hour is Bill DeMain, not Sterling Huck, though he does have Sterling as his alter ego, and even has published a book of letters that he actually, sent out to people and got responses occasionally. I want to talk a little bit about your walking tour, where you also, I guess, almost play another role. But the walking tour market in this city is fairly robust. I know several people who give them. So how did you go from I don't know, getting a little bit into the tour guide thing to creating your own music-focused walking experience?
There was a lull in my journalistic life in about 2012.
Okay.
And I needed to find other ways to make a living. So briefly, I worked for
Some people just, go look for a job.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't
Not invent something.
Wasn't qualified to do much. So I thought, well, I know a lot about music. I know how to tell stories. Maybe I could start a walking tour business. So I spent about a year writing a script. And then for about a month, I did free tours, mostly for friends. And in 2012, I launched the business and slowly but surely just kind of found my tribe, like fellow music nerds. And by 2014-15, it was, regularly like the #1 rated activity on TripAdvisor.
Whoa!
Yeah, for years. It's since then the Bachelorettes came and ended all that, but
They weren't signing up for this tour.
They weren't signing up for my tour. No.
What are they signing up for?
Those transportainment yachts and hay wagons.
Well, you sort of missed it. You've just got to move different. They don't want to walk anymore. Okay, they want to crank those. The pedal taverns. Okay. Well, so you even had like a famous documentarian maybe join you one time. What happened there?
Yeah, this summer, actually, I was talking about the Bristol sessions with Jimmy Rogers and the Carter family, and this guy walks up and joins the group, and I'm looking at him, and I realize it's Ken Burns.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And I thought, man, I better be saying something that's accurate and true.
He's pretty identifiable, so I guess I could see why you would recognize him. Wow. So how did he end up joining you? Was he just curious?
He was walking by. He was in Nashville visiting friends, and he was nice enough when I finished my presentation to stay and say, you're absolutely right. And then he elaborated a little bit. It was
because he had done those country music documentaries.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
A thrill for the group,
Wow. So the tour also led to you becoming a bit of an overseas correspondent for the BBC. How?
About 7 years ago, I had someone on the tour who was from Scotland, who was a real music nerd. We were talking during the tour, and at the end, they gave me their business card and said, I'm a producer for BBC Scotland. Would you like to be a correspondent for our music programs? I was like, yeah. That's how it started. It was that easy.
And there you go. Well, what a correspondent? So you were you sort of using your journalism, or was it more like they just needed somebody who understood Nashville and the music business to ask questions to about America?
I think a bit of both. Basically the way it works, every 2 months I go into a studio here and link up to a live show called Another Country on BBC Scotland. And they give me a 10 or 15-minute segment where I talk about, this week in 1956, Don Gibson released Oh Lonesome Me.
Oh, okay.
Or I say, Americana Fest is coming up. Here's what I'm looking forward to, So both history and news. And then I play a song like, here's a new artist I heard that you might really like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what do you find, what stories seem to really resonate, even like in the delivery, person to person? And that's one of the beautiful things, I suppose, about being a tour guide like that. Instead of writing about something or producing something and letting other people listen to it, eventually you're delivering it to them and getting real-time feedback on how it's going. What do people really get engrossed with when you start talking about like Nashville music history?
Well, I think because I let them know up front that I'm a songwriter, they love when I talk about the stories behind songs.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any other tour is really doing that.
Yeah. And where have you gathered those stories?
Mostly from the interviews that I've done with songwriters.
So you're saying when you can share, here's the story behind that, which I got from the horse's mouth when I interviewed them.
So, yeah, it's without trying to drop a name. It sounds impressive.
You don't want to be the name dropper tour guide. You're right.
When I talked to Dolly, she told me,
Right. Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Well, let's actually, producer Mary Mancini, who helped me prepare for this hour, actually joined your tour last week. And so let's go on a little walk.
This is the Walk in Nashville Music City Legends Tour. My name is Bill DeMain. So let's talk about the beginnings of country music, hillbilly music, what used to be called country and western music. To talk about the beginnings of country, we need to go back to the turn of last century. Country music came out of three things. It came out of the blues, African American, very direct, emotional, cry of the heart. The second thing, it came out of gospel music. So I'm gonna pass my phone around and you can take a look at this photo, which was taken in 1966. You'll see right where we're standing. The guy sitting in that photo holding the guitar, his name was Cordelia Clark. He was a street musician, he was blind. Starting in the mid-1950s, he used to park himself outside of Woolworths and play these original blues songs. This beautiful building that we're standing next to, the Southern Turf, was a saloon on the first floor, a gambling parlor on the second floor, and a brothel on the top floor. The flagship club was this one on the corner, Skull's Rainbow Room, which opened in 1948 and recently reopened as a restaurant and a nightclub with music and burlesque like they had in the old days. So guys, here we are at the heart of downtown, what I consider to be the crown jewel, the Ryman Auditorium. This was the home to the Grand Ole Opry radio show from 1943 to 1974. This building has an interesting shape. As you get closer to it, you'll see there's a rotunda on the left that's made to look like the spindle on an old-fashioned record player. And at the top of the spindle, there's a row of vertical bars that are like notes on a staff that correspond to a song called Will the Circle Be Unbroken. I'm gonna say it's been my pleasure hanging out with y'all. Anyway, just keep in touch for you. If you get in any trouble, let me know. I live on the same street as the police chief, so make some calls if necessary. Anyway, thanks you guys.
Police chief is a neighbor, not a bad deal.
Actually, it's just a policeman. Police chief sounded better.
All right, so, the walking tour, does embellish. I guess we're learning that. You mentioned that your tour, a lot of the material is actually based on things you've gathered from the individuals themselves. You were talking about Skull's Rainbow Room that was founded like in the 40s by David Skull Shulman and closed in 98 when he was murdered inside the building. Like you interviewed him at some point, is that right?
I met him when I first came to town. I was walking around downtown and I didn't know Printer's Alley or know Skull's Rainbow Room, but he was sitting out front and he was really friendly, we started talking. And at some point he said, "What did you say your name was?" And I said, "Bill DeMain." He said, DeMain. He said, "I think I knew your daddy." So my father went to Vanderbilt in the mid-50s, and he was their quarterback. And Skull told me...
And we're just learning that at the end of the interview.
Yes.
Anyway, go on.
And Skull said, "Your dad used to trade me tickets to the game so he and his buddies could get into the strip club after hours."
Oh, my gosh.
Things you don't want to know about your dad, but yeah, talk about weird coincidence.
Did you have your chance to tell your father about that one?
I did, yeah. In fact, the next time I called home, I mentioned it, and
I got funny. I ran into somebody.
Silence on the line for a second, and then it's like, oh yeah, he was a nice guy, Skull.
Skull. As we close this out, obviously a lot of life left, and you do so much, and who knows what you'll be doing? Comedy, we think, but by the next time we talk. But when you kind of look back at what you've done, and I wonder what you see as kind of your guiding principle for all that has come together to be the life of Bill DeMain.
Gosh, I don't know, aside from I think I want to create something that's beautiful and full of joy. If I can make people laugh, if I can make people feel something, that I feel like I would have left something behind that was worthwhile.
Well, you've brought us some joy and made us think and ponder today. Bill DeMain, thank you so much for making time for This Is Nashville.
Thanks, Blake. My pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Mary Mancini. Our board operator is Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are Larange and Namir Blade. You can listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get good podcasts. You can also ask a smart speaker to play the latest episode of This Is Nashville. It really is that easy. The conversation doesn't have to end here. You can comment and tell us what you want to hear on the show by leaving us a message at 615-751-2500. You can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram and X at This Is Nashville. You can also watch a lot of our shows that we stream on YouTube at youtube.com/@WPLN. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.